Hello, in this video I am going to explain how to answer the questions in the Edexcel GCSE Maths Paper 1 from November 2019, the Foundation tier. The purpose of this video is for your learning and understanding, not just the answers. There are of course other videos out there. Write down the value of the 7 in the number 1074. This question is all about place value, so write the headings above: thousands, hundreds, tens, and units. We are only focusing on the 7, so we would write 7 tens, or we can write 70. You have to include the digit 7 in your answer for the 1 mark. Write 4.58 correct to 1 decimal place. There is more than one way to do this question. You can write it out, and then because it says 1 decimal place, find the digit that represents the first decimal digit and draw a wall after it. Now we focus only on the 8, and remember, when it is 5 or more we need to round up, so in our case it would become 4.6. You are only allowed to have 1 digit after the decimal point. Another way to think about this is a number line. We know that 4.58 is between 4.5 and 4.6. In the middle, we would have 4.55. 4.58 would be somewhere roughly over here. So to 1 decimal place, again, it's 4.6. You can just write 4.6 for the 1 mark. Work out 31.7 multiplied by 100. For a question like this, I would write it as 31.700 multiplied by 100. The 100 has 2 zeros, so I need to move the decimal point to the right twice. So 1 and then 2. That makes our answer 3,170. And for the 1 mark, you just need to write the answer. Write the fraction 28 over 70 in its simplest form. So we need to find a common factor of 28 and 70. The one that I can think of is 7. So divide the numerator and the denominator by 7, and we end up with 4 tenths. They are both even numbers, so I can divide both of them by 2. And now we get an answer of 2/5. If you did it in 1 step or 2 steps, it doesn't matter. They are looking for the answer of 2/5. Write 15% as a decimal. 15% is 15 over 100, but of course that's a fraction. That means 15 divided by 100. So remember from earlier, we can think of it as 15.0. We're dividing by 100, so we need to go backwards twice. And the answer is 0.15. For the 1 mark, you can just write 0.15. The pictogram shows information about the number of pictures sold in an art shop in each of January, February, and March. Write down the number of pictures sold in January. If you look at the key, each square represents 8 pictures. We have 3 squares, so we need to do 3 lots of 8, and we get 24. If you just write 24, you will get the mark. The question goes on to say, 12 pictures were sold in April. Show this information on the pictogram. If we do 12 subtract 8, we get 4. So we know we need 1 full box, and 4 is half of 8, so we need half a box. You need to have both of them drawn in correctly for the 1 mark. What was the total number of pictures sold in these 4 months? January, remember, was 24. February is 8, add 8, add 8, add 4, which gives us 28. March is 8, add 8, add 4, which gives us 20. And then April is 12. For the first mark, we need to show that we are adding, so I am going to set it out like a column addition. Now I have 1 mark. If I add 4, 8, 0, and 2, I get 14. 1, add 2, add 2, add 2, add 1 is 8. So having a final answer of 84 would get me the second mark. Work out the difference in minutes between 1 hour 25 minutes and 1 1/4 hours. To start with, I am going to convert the quarter of an hour. So on the side, that would be a calculation of 1/4 of 60 minutes. Remember, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. To find a quarter of 60 minutes, I'm going to do 60 divided by 4, so half it and half it again, and we have 15 minutes. So that's just a side calculation. Now I can write down 1 1/4 hours is equal to 1 hour and 15 minutes. And now I have my first mark. I'm now going to do 25 minutes, subtract 15 minutes, and that gives us 10 minutes, and that's our final answer and our final mark. Prussia has 5 blocks of wood. The total weight of all 5 blocks of wood is 3 kilograms. 4 of the blocks of wood each have a weight of 650 grams. Work out the weight in grams of the other block of wood. To start with, we need the total of the 4 blocks of wood. So 4 multiplied by 650 grams. I am going to do that calculation on the side using column multiplication. 4 multiplied by 0 is 0. 4 multiplied by 5 is 20. 4 multiplied by 6 is 24. Add the 2 and that's 26. So our answer is 2,600 grams. Now we have 1 mark. To work out the weight of the other block, we need to do 3 kilograms subtract 2,600 grams. Before we can do this calculation, the units need to be the same. The question does say in grams, so we will convert the 3 kilograms into 3,000 grams. And now we have our second mark. Then, for working this out as 400 grams, we get our third mark. PQR is a straight line. Work out the size of angle X. So X is equal to 180 because it's a straight line. Subtract 100, subtract 35. Now we have 1 mark. 180 subtract 100 is 80, so 80 subtract 35 gives us 45 degrees. Now we have our second mark. Part A, plot the point with coordinates 3, 2. Label this point A. Remember, in coordinates, the 3 would be the x and the 2 here would be the y. Because both of them are positive, we are going right and we are also going upwards. So from 0, go across to 3 and then go up to 2. Mark that with an X or a dot and label it A. And that would get you 1 mark. Part B, write down the coordinates of the midpoint of BC. Visually, we can see the midpoint, or otherwise known as the halfway point, is over here. So the coordinate would then be -1, 0. To get the 1 mark, you have to have it that way round. Mason throws a coin 3 times. The outcome of each throw is either heads or tails. List all the possible outcomes of the 3 throws. We have a first throw, a second throw, and a third throw. The only way to get 3 heads is to say H, H, H. There are more than one ways of getting 2 heads. We could say H, H, T, or H, T, H, or T, H, H. There are also more than one ways of getting 1 heads. So T, T, H, T, H, T, or H, T, T. There is only one way of getting no heads, T, T, and T. You should notice a pattern. For 1 mark, you need to have at least 4 of them correct. For 2 marks, you must have all 8 of them correct. Rahan is on holiday in the USA. He has $200 to spend on clothes. Rahan buys 1 pair of trainers costing $60, 3 t-shirts costing $25 each. He also wants to buy a jacket costing $80. Has Rahan got enough money to buy the jacket? You must show how you get your answer. To start with, I want to work out how much Rahan is spending on just the t-shirts. So I need to do 3 multiplied by 25. That is 75. Now I have 1 mark. Step 2, I want to work out how much he would spend in total if he did buy the jacket. So 60 for the trainers, add 75 for the t-shirts, add 80 for the jacket. That is 135, add 80, and that is 215. Now I have 2 marks. For the final mark, I need to explain whether or not Rahan has enough money. So I will say 215 is more than 200. So he does not have enough money. And that is our 3rd mark. The trainers cost $60. The exchange rate is $1 for every 0.749 pounds. Rahan says the trainers cost less than £40. Rahan is wrong. Using a suitable approximation, show working to explain why. To start with, we're going to convert the currency. So we have dollars and pounds. Start with what you know. So $1 is 0.749 pounds. We are converting $60. The question does say using a suitable approximation. So I am going to round down and say 0.749 is 0.7. Now we need to find a number to multiply by to go downwards. 1 multiplied by 60 is 60. Do the same on the other side. I'm going to do that calculation at the top. 0.7 multiplied by 60 is the same as 7 multiplied by 6, and that is 42. So now we have 1 mark. Now we can say 42 is an underestimate. Remember, we rounded down, yet it is still more than 40. And now we have our 2nd mark. Simplify 2a multiplied by 5b. If I write this out, I have 2 multiplied by a multiplied by 5 multiplied by b. So this is the opposite of simplifying. I'm going to rewrite that to give me 2 multiplied by 5 multiplied by A multiplied by B. Now I can simplify. 2 multiplied by 5 is 10, so I get 10AB. And that is all you need to write for 1 mark. If you want to, you could write 10BA. Either answer is perfectly fine. Simplify 3x, add 2y, add 5x, subtract y. This is collecting like terms, so I will underline 3x, which means I must underline add 5x. I'm going to put a box around add 2y, so I must put a box around subtract y. Focus on just the x's. 3x add 5x is 8x, and now we have 1 mark. Positive 2y subtract y is positive 1y. Remember, we don't write 1y, we just write y. And that is our 2nd mark. If you want to, you could write your answer as y, add 8x, and that would still be 2 marks. Do not write 1y in your answer. Work out 23 multiplied by 15. This is a non-calculator paper, so they are looking for a written method. I like to use the lattice method, also called gelosia, also called the Chinese method. This is a 2-digit number multiplied by a 2-digit number, so we need a 2 by 2 grid. Each box needs to be cut in half diagonally. And then for 23, we're going to split it up and write 2, 3. For 15, we're going to split that up and write 1, 5. Now for the multiplying, we need to do 2 multiplied by 1 and write the result on the top left box. That gets us 0, 2. Then for the top right box, we need to do 3 multiplied by 1, and that gets us 0, 3. For this bottom left box, we need to do 2 multiplied by 5. That is 10, so 1, 0. And then for this bottom right box, we need to do 3 multiplied by 5. And that is 15, so 1, 5. Then we need to add diagonally. Just like in column addition, we start from the right-hand side. 5 add nothing is 5. 3 add 1 add 0 is 4. 0 add 2 add 1 is 3. 0 add nothing is 0. The answer is 345. If you've got a clear written method with no more than 1 mistake, you would get 1 mark, and then for saying 345, you would get the 2nd mark. 120 people were at a hockey match. Each person was asked if they wanted to stand or to sit to watch the match. 75 of the people were female, 29 of the males wanted to stand, 30 of the people wanted to sit. Use this information to complete the frequency tree. As we can see, this 120 has already been put in the correct place. Now we're going to use this information as a list. 75 of the people were female. So write in the 75 and we can tick this off. We can do a subtraction to work out how many males there were. 10 subtract 5 is 5, 11 subtract 7 is 4. That means there were 45 males. Now we have 1 mark. 29 of the males wanted to stand. Go to male and stand, write in 29, and now we can tick this off. Again, we're going to do a subtraction to work out how many were sitting. 45 subtract 29. 15 subtract 9 is 6. 3 subtract 2 is 1. That means there were 16 males that were sitting. And now we have our 2nd mark. 30 of the people wanted to sit. We know that 16 males are sitting, so we can do 30 subtract 16. 10 subtract 6 is 4. 2 subtract 1 is 1. So that means 14 females must have been sitting. And now we can tick this off. To work out how many females were standing, we are going to do 75 subtract 14. 1, 6. So that means it's 61. And now we have our third mark. The question goes on to say, one of the 120 people is chosen at random. Write down the probability that this person is a male who wanted to stand. So go to male and go to stand, and we need to use the 29. For writing 29 over 120, we would get the 1 mark. Steve drove from his home to his friend's house. He stayed at his friend's house and then drove home. Here is Steve's travel graph. For how many minutes did Steve stay at his friend's house? If he's staying at his friend's house, that is the horizontal part of the graph. We need to know at what time he got to his friend's house. So that's this time over here, and that is 12:45. He left his friend's house at this time, which is 1:30. So I'm going to use the number line method. I've got 12:45 to 1:30. To go from 12:45 to 1 o'clock, I need to add on 15 minutes. To go from 1 o'clock to 1:30, I need to add on 30 minutes. So altogether, he spent 45 minutes at his friend's house. It is a 1 mark question, and you can just say 45 minutes. The question goes on to say, what was Steve's average speed on his journey home? His journey home is this part over here. To work out speed, we need to work out his distance. For the distance, go to the top and go across to the left, and we can see that's 25 kilometers. We also need the time. For the time, we need to know at what time he started his journey and at what time he finished his journey. So that's 1:30 to 2 o'clock, and that is 30 minutes. Now I'm going to write distance and time. He has travelled 25 kilometers in 30 minutes. For the speed, we need to write that as kilometers per hour. So we need to turn that into 60 minutes. To go from 30 to 60, we need to multiply by 2. Do the same on the other side, and that there so far would get us 1 mark. We end up with 50, so our final answer is 50 kilometers per hour. Remember, a clear method for the first mark, and then 50 kilometers per hour for the second mark. X subtract 1 is equal to 2. Work out the value of 2x squared. To start with, we need to work out what x is equal to. So we need to solve this equation. We are going to add 1 to both sides, and we end up with x equals 3. Now we have 1 mark. Then, to work out the value, we are going to substitute into 2x squared. So 2 multiplied by 3 squared. Now we have our second mark. Remember, for order of operations, we need to do 3 squared first. So 2 multiplied by 9. And then we get 18 and our third mark. The pie chart shows information about the favourite animal of each student at School A and of each student at school B. There are 480 students at school A. There are 760 students at school B. Henry says the same number of students at each school have tigers as their favourite animal. Is Henry correct? You must show how you get your answer. Let's start with school A. We don't know what angle represents tigers, so we can create an equation. We know that x add 60 must equal 360 degrees. So that would give us 2x add 60 equals 360. I am going to use the flowchart method to solve that. X multiplied by 2 add 60 gives us 360. Go backwards and do the inverse. Subtract 60, which is 300, and then divide by 2, which is 150. Now we have 1 mark. Now I'm going to write down students and degrees as my 2 subheadings. We know there are 480 students in school A. We know that there are a total of 360 degrees in the pie chart. We also know that 150 degrees has been used for tigers. A common factor of 360 and 150 is 30. To go downwards, we need to divide by 12 and then multiply by 5. Do the same on the other side. Divide by 12, and that is 40. Multiply by 5, and that gives us 200. Now we have our second mark. Moving on to school B. We have all the angles for school B already, so we do not need to solve an equation. Students and degrees. Again, start with what you know. There are 760 students in total, and there are 360 degrees in total. Tigers is a right angle, therefore it's 90 degrees. We need to go downwards. To go downwards, we need to divide by 4. Do the same on the other side, divide by 4. I'm going to do that calculation in the corner. 7 divided by 4 is 1, remainder 3. 36 divided by 4 is 9. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So that means 190 students like tigers in school B. Now I have 3 marks. I need to justify whether Henry is correct or incorrect. So I will write 200 is not the same as 190, so he is wrong. And now we have our 4th mark. Here is a number line. Write down the inequality shown on the number line. Because it is connected, we know that P is between -3 and 1. If you look at the circle above the -3, it has been shaded in. That means P must be more than -3 or equal to -3. If you look at the circle above the 1, it is empty, so that means P is simply less than 1. For 2 marks, you need the symbols and the values. For 1 mark, as long as you have the correct numbers. Find the lowest common multiple of 108 and 120. For LCM, I use an upside down bus stop method. So you write the numbers and then you have an upside down bus stop. Now I need to think of a common factor of 108 and 120. I know 12 goes into both of them. So write 12 on the side and then divide both of them individually. 108 divided by 12 is 9. 120 divided by 12 is 10. 9 and 10 do not have any common factors other than 1. So that's where we stop. And now we have 1 mark. For the LCM, we need to do the product of these outside values. So we need to write out 12 multiplied by 9 multiplied by 10. Now we have our second mark. Then we need to go ahead and work that out. So 108 multiplied by 10, and that is 1080. And now we have our third mark. There are 60 people in a choir. Half of the people in the choir are women. The number of women in the choir is 3 times the number of men in the choir. The rest of the people in the choir are children. The number of children to the number of men in the choir is equal to n to 1. Work out the value of n. You must show how you get your answer. I'm going to break this apart line by line. To start with, we can work out how many women there are. We need to do half of 60, so 60 divided by 2, and that gives us 30. So that means there were 30 women. Then move on. It tells us that women are 3 times the number of men, so 3m. We can rewrite that as 30 is equal to 3m. We can also then divide both sides by 3. And now we know that 10 of the people in the choir were men. Now we have 1 mark. Moving on, it says the rest of the people in the choir were children. So 60, subtract 30, subtract 10, and that gets us 20, and also our second mark. Move on to the ratio part of the question. We've got children to men, and that is 20 to 10, and that is our third mark. The question, however, says n to 1. So under the men, we need to write 1. To go from 10 to 1, we need to divide by 10. Do the same on the other side. So that means the ratio is now 2 to 1. To answer the question, work out the value of n, we would say n is equal to 2 for our fourth and final mark. Work out 1 3/4 multiplied by 1 1/3. Give your answer as a mixed number. Before we can start, we need to convert them into improper fractions. So the whole number multiplied by the denominator, add on the numerator, and denominator is the same. That is 7 over 4. Do the same with 1 1/3. The whole number multiplied by the denominator, add on the numerator, and the denominator stays the same. That is 4/3. Now we have 1 mark. To multiply, you could just do 7 multiplied by 4 for the numerator and 4 multiplied by 3 for the denominator. I like to cancel down. 4 and 4 have a highest common factor of 4. Divide them by 4, we get 1 and 1. So now we end up with 7 multiplied by 1, which is 7. 1 multiplied by 3, which is 3. That is our second mark. That is the same as saying 7 divided by 3, which is 2, remainder 1, and therefore 1/3. So our final answer is 2 and 1/3. Use a ruler and compasses to construct the line from the point P perpendicular to the line CD. You must show all construction lines. To start with, you need a pair of compasses. Put the point at point P. Make sure it's wide enough so you can draw an arc that's going to cross twice on the line CD. Then make sure you can see these 2 intersection points with the arc and the line CD. Get your compass Put the point at the one closer to D. Make sure it's wider than halfway, but not all the way to the other intersection. Draw an arc. And then, without changing the size, go to the other intersection point and draw an arc from the other side. And now we have all our construction lines. For the final mark, we need to join up where the final arcs intersect. So that's this one over here, this one over here, and P. So get your ruler and join that all up. And it should be a right angle. You must be as accurate as possible to get both marks. The diagram shows triangle ABC. ADB is a straight line. The size of DCB to the size of ACD is 2 to 1. Work out the size of angle BDC. Using the ratio ACD we can call x. That means DCB must be 2x. Step 1. I am going to work out angle ACB, and that is part of the overall triangle ABC. Looking at the diagram, that is the same as saying 3x, or looking at the diagram, I can work it out. 180 subtract 75, subtract 51. So I have 105 subtract 51, and that is 54 degrees. Now I have one mark. Step 2, we know 3x is equal to 54. To work out x, we need to divide by 3 on both sides. I will do that on the side. 54 divided by 3. 5 divided by 3 is 1, remainder 2. 24 divided by 3 is 8. That means x is equal to 18. Now I have 2 marks. We have been asked in the question to work out angle BDC, which is over here, and that is part of this lower triangle. So step 3, BDC is equal to 180 subtract 51 subtract 2x, so 2 lots of 18. That means 180 subtract 51 subtract 36. I now have 3 marks. I'm just quickly going to work out what 51 add 36 is equal to. So now I need to do 180 subtract 87. Because I've written 93 degrees, I get my final and 4th mark. Four red bricks have a mean weight of 5 kilograms. 5 blue bricks have a mean weight of 9 kilograms. 1 green brick has a weight of 6 kilograms. Donna says the mean weight of the 10 bricks is less than 7 kilograms. Is Donna correct? You must show how you get your answer. Before starting, it's important to remember that mean is the total, so in this case the total weight of the bricks, divided by n, so the number of bricks for this case. Let's start with the red bricks. We know that the mean is 5 kilograms. We don't know the total, but that total divided by the 4 red bricks gave us 5 kilograms. For the total, we need to do the opposite, so instead of division, we need to do multiplication. 5 multiplied by 4, and we get 20 kilograms. So the total weight of all red bricks is 20 kilograms. Moving on to blue. The mean is 9 kilograms, and some kind of a total divided by the 5 blue bricks gave us 9. To work out the total, we need to do multiplication. 9 multiplied by 5, and that is 45 kilograms. If you work out the red total or the blue total, you will get 1 mark. Now the green total, remember it was just one singular brick, so it's 6 kilograms. For the mean of all 10 bricks, we need the overall total. So we will do 20, add 45, add 6, 65 add 6 is 71. So we have 71 kilograms. That's the overall total. The mean then would be 71 divided by 10, and that is 7.1 kilograms. Now we have our second mark. Then we need to answer the question, is Donna correct? And we would say Donna is wrong. And now justify your answer, because 7.1 is more than 7. And now we have 3 marks. Simplify p squared all to the power of 5. When we have brackets like this, we need to multiply the powers. So the answer is p to the power of 10. And for 1 mark, you just need to write p to the power of 10. Simplify the following. To start with, I'm going to write it out as a fraction. So 12x to the 7 y cubed all over 6x cubed and then y to the power of 1. When I divide, I'm going to do each part separately. So I'm going to do this part separate to this part, separate to this part. 12 divided by 6 is 2. X to the 7 divided by x to the 3. Remember, with division, we subtract the powers. So it's x to the power 4. Now I have 1 mark. Y cubed divided by y to the 1. So 3 take away 1 is 2. And now all together I have 2 marks if I have written my answer like this. The accurate scale drawing shows the positions of port P and a lighthouse L. Alina sailed her boat from P on a bearing of 070 degrees. She sails 1.5 hours at a speed of 12 kilometers per hour to Q. Find the distance in kilometers of Q from L. Find the bearing of Q from L. To start with, we need to work out the distance that she's travelling. She travels 12 kilometers every 1 hour. She is travelling for 1.5 hours. If we go down, we need to multiply by 1.5. Do the same on the other side. 12 multiplied by 1.5 is 18 kilometers. Now we have our first mark. Using the scale given to us, we can work out what to draw on the map. We have map and we have real. 1 centimeter is 4 kilometers in real life. We have 18 kilometers. If we go from 4 to 1, we need to divide by 4. Do the same. 18 divided by 4 is half 9, half again, so 4.5 centimeters. We now have our second mark. Remember, bearings are always measured from the north line and they are always in a clockwise direction. Get your protractor, place it so that's in line with the north line. Make sure you can see the 0. From the 0, count up until you get to 70. Mark that point on and then move your protractor and get out your ruler. Join that up and make sure it is 4.5 centimeters long. Mark that point Q. Now we have 3 marks. Now we're going to join up Q to L. Of course, use a ruler. If I measure that, I get 5 centimeters. We need to convert that into kilometers. So we have map and we have real life. We have 5 centimeters, so that goes below map. And we need to convert that. 1 to 5, we need to multiply by 5. Do the same on the other side. 4 multiplied by 5 is 20 kilometers. So the distance between Q and L is 20 kilometers, and that is our 4th mark. For the bearing, remember, bearings are always measured clockwise from north. However, in this instance, I don't have a protractor that can measure a reflex angle, so I am going to measure this angle over here. When I do that, I get 35 degrees. So to work out the bearing, I am going to do 360 subtract 35 degrees. So 5, 2, 3. So the answer is 325 degrees for the bearing, and that is also our 5th mark. The diagram shows triangle AOB. Angle AOB is not an obtuse angle. Find the greatest value of x. You must show all your working. Angle AOB is all of this. So all of that would mean 2x, add 3x, add 10. And because it is not an obtuse angle, it means it must be less than or equal to 90 degrees. Now we have 1 mark. That gives us 5x add 10 is less than or equal to 90. I'm going to treat it like an equation and solve using the flowchart. X multiplied by 5, then add 10 gives us 90. Going backwards and doing the inverse, we need to subtract 10 and then divide by 5. 90 subtract 10 is 80. 80 divided by 5 is 8 divided by 5, 1, remainder 3. 30 divided by 5 is 6. So x would be 16. For solving, I get 1 mark. If I write x is less than or equal to 16, that would still be part of my 2nd mark. The question said, find the greatest value of x. If x is less than or equal to 16, the biggest it could ever be is 16, and that is our final answer. ABC and PQR are similar right-angled triangles, so all the corresponding angles are the same. Angle ABC is equal to angle PQR. Work out the length PR. The length PR is this one over here. It's always good to match up any corresponding lengths. So if PR is over here, then the corresponding length would be AC. The other corresponding lengths I can work with are BC and QR. And I haven't been given figures for AB or PQ, so there's no need to worry about them. Now I'm going to have headings of big and small. The ones that we know are the 15 and the 10. And then we know for the big triangle, the green length is 9. And then we don't know what PR is, that's what we're working out. We need to find a number that goes from 15 to 9. I can't think of one, but I know a common factor is 3. So I'm going to divide by 5 and then multiply by 3. Do the same on the other side. Divide by 5, that's 2, and then multiply by 3, and we get 6 centimeters. For having a method and then the answer, we would get 2 marks. Triangle EGH is congruent to triangle KGF. That means they are exactly the same. HK is 10 centimeters, HG is 4 centimeters. We need to work out the length EF. I'm going to label what I know. HG is 4 centimeters, and the overall base, HK, is 10 centimeters. That means that GK must be 10 subtract 4, so 6 centimeters. Now I have 1 mark. It's important to note that because they are congruent, HG is the same as FG and GK is the same as EG. Now we can try and work out EF. EF is EG subtract FG. EG is the same as GK, so 6 centimeters. FG is the same as HG, which is 4 centimeters. And now the answer is 2 centimeters. And that is our final mark. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day.